listen to me. If you actually attention to what I'm about to say, if you actually apply it, 2025 will be the year you completely flip the script on your life. I'm not talking about some cute Instagram quote. I'm talking about rewiring your brain so deeply that people you haven't talked to in years are gonna DM you asking, what the hell happened to you? And the answer is simple. You made one shift. You stopped chasing validation and started chasing your own truth. You have to understand this. The second you stop chasing applause and start chasing progress, everything in your life changes. Most people don't realize how much of their decision making is built around the need for validation. They won't post a video unless they think it's going to go viral. They won't start a business unless their friends approve of the idea. They won't share their artwork unless they know it's going to get a flood of comments. That is the single biggest trap in 2025, and it's exactly why so many talented people never actually win. They're building for likes instead of building for legacy. Here's the problem. Applause is a drug. It feels incredible in the moment, but it's not real nutrition for your goals. It's like eating candy for dinner, sweet, addictive, but completely empty in the long run. Progress, on the other hand, is slow, unsexy, and often invisible to the outside world. It's the 5 a.m. grind when nobody's watching. It's learning the skills that don't bring attention now, but will make you unstoppable later. It's putting in the reps on your craft, even when no one claps for you. That's the difference between the people who are relevant for a year, and the ones who are relevant for a lifetime. Let me hit you with this. If you're basing your self-worth on the reaction you get from others, you're building your dreams on rented land. The moment the applause stops, your confidence crumbles. And it will stop. There will be weeks, months, maybe years where nobody notices you. But that's when the real players are born. Because if you can keep showing up in the silence, if you can keep executing without anyone cheering for you, you're dangerous. You're no longer dependent on the crowd. You've built something unshakable inside yourself. People confuse visibility with value. Just because someone's name is everywhere doesn't mean they're building something that lasts. And just because you're not being seen right now doesn't mean you're not building something powerful. In fact, the best growth happens when no one's looking. That's when you're free to experiment, to fail quietly, to develop without the pressure of performing for an audience. Then, when the spotlight eventually finds you, and it will if you're putting in the work, you're ready. You're not scrambling to figure it out. You've been in the lab the whole time perfecting your game. Let me give you a hook you'll remember. Applause is rented. Progress is owned. You can't fake progress. You can't Photoshop skill. You can't buy experience. Those things only come from the hours you put in when no one's clapping. That's why when you see someone at the top of their field, you're not looking at talent alone. You're looking at years of invisible work, the kind you don't see in highlight reels. You want to be unstoppable in 2025. Detach your happiness from the reaction and attach it to the process. Measure yourself by how much you're learning, how much you're executing, how much closer you are today than you were yesterday. Stop posting for applause and start posting for your own documentation. Stop building for today's likes and start building for tomorrow's life. Because here's the truth, when you start chasing progress, the applause eventually comes anyway. But by then, you won't even need it. You'll already know who you are. Other people's opinions have zero ROI. Let that sink in. You're out here treating their words like a stock that's going to pay you dividends, but the truth is it's not just a bad investment. It's one that drains you every single day. The more weight you give to what they think, the less capacity you have for your own execution. You have dreams you're not chasing because someone once made a side comment that planted doubt in your mind. You have skills you're not developing because you're worried people will laugh if you fail publicly. And yet, if you actually look at it, none of those people are showing up to do the work for you, to take the risk for you, or to pay the cost for you. They're spectators in the arena of your life, and you're giving them the power to call the shots. Here's the part nobody tells you. Most of the people whose opinions you're carrying around aren't even thinking about you. They've got their own fears, insecurities, and struggles, and a lot of the judgment they throw your way is just a reflection of their own limits. The guy who tells you your idea will never work isn't a prophet. He's just projecting his own inability to make something happen. The friend who says, "Don't post that, it's cringe," isn't a content strategist. They're just afraid of standing out themselves. You're letting voices like that dictate the trajectory of your life, and for what? There's no return on that. You want a hook you can tattoo on your brain. Opinions don't pay bills. Action does. You can't cash a compliment. You can't deposit criticism into your bank account. And yet, you can absolutely lose your shot at success if you let those opinions keep you paralyzed. The currency that matters in 2025 is execution. While you're busy weighing the potential embarrassment of trying, someone else is already in motion, building something you'll later look at and think, that could have been me. The irony is that once you stop caring about opinions, your work actually gets better. When you're no longer trying to please everyone, you're free to take creative risks, to try things that might flop but might also lead to a breakthrough. Every game-changing entrepreneur, artist, or athlete has had to develop the ability to filter feedback, to separate constructive insight from noise. And here's the kicker, most of it is noise. The faster you can recognize that, the faster you can get back to doing the work that moves the needle. Think about it like this. If someone isn't willing to be in the trenches with you, their opinion of your strategy is irrelevant. They don't see the late nights, the risks, the sacrifices. They don't understand the vision the way you do, and they don't have to. Stop building for their approval. Start building for the result you know you're capable of. The day you stop giving weight to other people's doubts is the day you start moving with speed. I'll leave you with this hook. Every second you spend worrying about what they think is a second you're not using to prove them wrong. And the best way to silence the critics isn't by arguing with them. It's by winning so big they have to rewrite the story they told about you. You have to make this shift. Stop asking, what will they think of me? And start asking, what will I think of myself if I don't try? That's the real question that changes everything. Most people don't realize how much life they've already given up because they've been running their decisions through the wrong filter. They're sitting on ideas, talents, and opportunities not because they're impossible, but because they're scared of how they'll look trying. They're living in a prison built from other people's imagined opinions. And here's the crazy part. Half the time, those opinions aren't even real. You're worrying about thoughts people might have but will never say, and in doing so, you're letting imaginary judgment kill real potential. When you flip the question, the entire game changes. You stop worrying about being laughed at, and you start worrying about waking up at 60 wondering what could have happened if you had just taken the shot. Regret is a much heavier burden than embarrassment. Embarrassment lasts minutes, regret lasts decades. The reason people with less talent, less skill, and fewer resources still pass you by is because they're willing to take the swing. They know the worst case scenario is failing and learning. The worst case scenario for you, if you keep hesitating, is never knowing at all. Let me give you a hook you won't forget. Fear of looking stupid has killed more dreams than lack of ability ever will. If you're scared to start the podcast, to post the video, to launch the business, to speak up in the meeting, you're playing the wrong game. The only scoreboard that matters is how you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror. Are you proud of the fact that you never took risks? Or would you rather be proud that you chased something even if it didn't work out exactly how you pictured it? This is the part where most people mess up. They assume trying and failing will destroy their reputation. In reality, most people admire the attempt. They might laugh for a moment, sure, but deep down they wish they had the courage to do the same. And even if they don't admit it, your action plants a seed. It shows when you're willing to step outside the comfort zone they've been stuck in for years. You become the person who actually lives instead of just talking about it. Ask yourself this: when you're old and looking back, would you trade every ounce of approval you got from playing it safe for one moment where you actually went all in on something you believed in? Of course you would. The likes, the nods of approval, the polite claps, they fade. But the memory of knowing you tried, of knowing you bet on yourself when no one else would, that stays forever. Here's the truth. The world moves fast, and the window for opportunity is shorter than you think. Waiting until you're ready is just another way of saying you're scared. If you can accept that fear will never fully go away, you can stop waiting for perfect conditions and start moving now. Because every moment you delay, the question becomes louder in your head. What will I think of myself if I don't do this? And if that answer is going to eat at you later, the only smart move is to start today. So remember this hook: the risk of trying is nothing compared to the cost of never knowing. If you want to be unstoppable, trade the need to impress others for the need to respect yourself. Play the long game. That's the mindset that separates the people who win for a season from the people who win for a lifetime. The problem is, most people are so obsessed with quick results that they sabotage themselves before they've even built a real foundation. They want to plant the seed today and eat the fruit tomorrow. They're measuring their progress in days when they should be thinking in years. If you're serious about being unstoppable in 2025 and beyond, you have to accept that real success comes from patience, consistency, and the willingness to stick it out when it's boring. Here's the hook. Anyone can get excited in the first week. Champions are made in the 1000th. It's easy to be motivated when everything is new, when people are cheering you on, when the feedback is constant. But what about the months when nobody's paying attention? What about when the likes slow down, when sales plateau, when progress feels invisible? That's when most people quit. They convince themselves the dream wasn't meant to be, when in reality they were just a little too early to walk away. The long game is about understanding that momentum takes time to build. You're stacking bricks, not building castles overnight. Every rep, every post, every sale, every meeting, every failure, every adjustment, it's all part of the compounding effect. But you don't see compounding in the first few steps, you see it after years of stacking. If you can hold your focus through the grind, you'll hit a point where the growth feels explosive to everyone watching. But to you, it's just the result of what you've been doing quietly for years. Patience doesn't mean sitting around and waiting for something to happen. Patience is active. It's about showing up every single day, knowing that you're building something brick by brick, even when there's no immediate payoff. It's the discipline to keep going when your emotions want to quit. It's having the humility to understand that your first version won't be your best, and that's okay, because you're committed to playing long enough to see version 50. Here's the part that makes this so powerful. The longer you play, the less competition you have. Most people will tap out in the first 3 months. Others will drop off after a year. The ones who stay in the game for 5, 10, 15 years, they're rare and rarity wins. You want an edge in 2025, outlast everyone. Make quitting so far from your mind that your competitors get tired just watching you. There's also something about time that polishes you in ways shortcuts can't. The skills you build, the networks you grow, the resilience you develop, none of that can be rushed. Every obstacle you face is training. Every setback is a lesson you'll use later. The long game isn't just about the result. It's about becoming the kind of person who can handle the result when it comes. That's why quick success often ruins people. They never built the muscle to carry it. If you want a hook to keep in your back pocket, remember this: the game isn't won by the fastest starter. It's won by the last one standing. You can beat more talented people. You can beat richer people. You can beat more connected people simply by refusing to leave the field. If you're willing to show up longer than anyone else, you'll win. Not maybe, not hopefully, inevitably. Turn fear into fuel. That's not just a catchy line. It's the exact mindset that transforms hesitation into momentum. Fear is inevitable. It's hardwired into you. Every time you think about starting something new, putting yourself out there, or taking a risk, fear shows up. Most people take that as a signal to stop. They think fear is a warning that something's wrong. But here's the truth. Fear is often a signal that you're on the edge of something that could change your life. The problem isn't fear itself. It's what you do with it. If you treat fear like a stop sign, you'll never move. If you treat it like a green light, you'll build speed where everyone else freezes. Here's the hook. Fear is just energy, and you decide where to channel it. That rush in your chest, that tightness in your stomach, that's adrenaline. That's your body preparing you for action, not retreat. The same chemical reaction that makes someone run from a challenge can be the same one that makes someone else sprint toward it. It's not about removing fear. It's about redirecting it into execution. The people you admire, the ones who look fearless, aren't without fear. They've just trained themselves to respond differently. Think about the moments in your life when you were scared but acted anyway. Maybe it was a big presentation, maybe it was a first business pitch, maybe it was posting something deeply personal online. You didn't wait for the fear to disappear. You moved through it. And on the other side, you were stronger, more confident, and less scared of doing it again. That's the compounding effect of using fear as fuel. Every time you push through, the fear gets smaller and your capacity gets bigger. Most people don't realize that fear and excitement feel almost identical in the body. The only difference is the story you attach to it. If you tell yourself, I'm scared, this is dangerous, your body shuts down. If you tell yourself, I'm excited, this is an opportunity, your body powers up. Same physical reaction, completely different outcome. That's the mental shift that separates action takers from excuse makers. You also have to understand that fear points to the areas where growth lives. If you're scared of speaking in public, that's where your next breakthrough is. If you're terrified of selling, that's the skill that could change your income. If you avoid posting content because you're afraid of being judged, that's exactly where your visibility and brand could explode. Fear is a compass. It's literally pointing at the path you need to take if you want to level up. And here's where the real transformation happens. When you start seeing fear as a challenge to rise to, you stop running from it and start hunting it. You start seeking out the things that make you uncomfortable because you know that's where the reward is. Everyone else is playing small. staying safe, and you're out there stacking wins because you're willing to feel what they're avoiding. Remember this hook: fear kills more dreams than failure ever will, but fuel builds more dreams than talent ever could. You don't have to be the most skilled, the smartest, or the most connected. You just have to be the one who refuses to let fear decide for you. Every time you take that fear and pour it into action, you're proving to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. And once you truly believe that, nothing can stop you. Operate like nobody's watching, and like everyone's watching in the future. That mindset will completely shift how you approach your work, your discipline, and your legacy. Right now, most people are trapped in two extremes. They either hold back because they think nobody cares, or they overcomplicate everything because they're desperate for instant validation. Both of those mentalities slow you down. The sweet spot, the dangerous, powerful space, is where you create, execute, and build as if nobody's paying attention today, but you also move like the world will study your work later. Here's the hook. The future is always watching, even if the present isn't. The videos you post that get 32 views, in 3 years, one of those could be the exact clip that lands in the right hands and changes everything. The business you're building quietly without hype. In 5 years, people will call it an overnight success, without realizing you've been grinding in silence for half a decade. When you work with the patience of someone who knows greatness is inevitable, you stop obsessing over short-term applause and start focusing on long-term impact. Operating like nobody's watching right now gives you freedom. Freedom to test ideas without fear of judgment. Freedom to fail without the weight of a public spotlight. Freedom to grow without the distraction of constant outside commentary. This is where the best work is built, in the shadows, with no pressure to perform for an audience that isn't even there yet. It allows you to focus entirely on craft, skill, and execution instead of on the optics. But here's where the second part kicks in, like everyone's watching in the future. This doesn't mean performing for people who aren't here yet. It means holding yourself to the standard you want to be known for when they do show up. If someone stumbles on your work 5 years from now and binge watches everything you've ever done, will they see consistency? Will they see growth? Will they see proof that you've been building at a high level long before they found you? That's the mindset that turns casual projects into empires. When you blend these two ideas, you become unstoppable. You're free from the fear of today's opinions, but you're fueled by the accountability of tomorrow's audience. You stop taking shortcuts because you know your future self will thank you for every ounce of effort you put in now. You stop disappearing during slow seasons because you know the archive you're building will one day tell the full story of your rise. The beauty of this mindset is that it also crushes procrastination. When you realize that everything you're putting out is building your future body of work, you stop waiting for perfect and start producing with intention. Every post, every meeting, every product, every interaction, it's all part of the record you're creating. And one day, when the attention comes, you'll have a library of proof that you've been doing the work all along. Remember this hook. Your future audience is judging the work you're doing today, even if they haven't seen it yet. The question is, will they see someone who started sloppy but stayed consistent, or someone who kept waiting for the perfect time that never came? Work like no one's clapping now, but the whole stadium will stand up later. That's how you build something worth watching and worth remembering.